Can you hear me?
No, use your...
I'm Cora, and as you can probably see, I'm not dead. And I'm going to tell you how I managed that. This was the summer of 2012, end of August. Was on vacation with my family at the beach, and went to go change into my bathing suit in the bathroom, and this is when the story gets gory. It's a gory piece, I'll warn you that. I had been in menopause for 4 years. And if you're in menopause for 4 years, you're not supposed to see, I think we'll call it a red flag. We'll use that the code name. So I went in, I'm going to change into my bathing suit. Oh, there's a red flag, but I'm sure it's fine. But I was kind of worried, home from vacation. And I called my doctor, she wasn't there, go see this other doctor. She says, I'm glad you came in. This is never normal. Takes a look and says, well, it looks fine, but I think you better go see a gynecologist. So I go see a gynecologist, and she takes a look and she says, looks fine. I mean, my husband could have told them that. But I think we should get you an ultrasound. So she sends me to an ultrasound, and meanwhile I'm, waiting on tenterhooks. I just had a feeling something was wrong, and so I have to wait, I don't know, a week or so to get the results of this ultrasound, go back to the gynecologist. And she says, well, unfortunately, the picture is a little bit foggy, so we couldn't quite see very well. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you an appointment with, we'll call him Doctor Number 3, since he's the third one in this roster. He's a specialist, he's famous actually, and he'll do the ultrasound himself. She says, here, I made you an appointment, but that's 6 weeks from now. I teach German at University of Virginia, and the semester is going to be starting in a few weeks, and I don't need to be worrying about red flags, and it's also painful when you get red flags. The women know this. The men will have to take my word for it. Well, you know what pain is. So, and meanwhile, the semester starts, and it's a couple of weeks, and I've still got to wait for this specialist, and it's getting worse. What started out as a little trickle is turning into a river, and I'm in worse pain, and I'm going to work every single day because, well, any day is just the same as any other day, so it doesn't really make sense to take one day off, or so anyway. And I finally get to see the specialist, who takes a look in the ultrasound. He says, you got a fibroid, or maybe more fibroids, but nothing serious. But I'm going to recommend that you have a D&C, some exploratory surgery, just to make sure. So he decides that his colleague should do this exploratory surgery. They call up with the date, and I almost said, no, I'm sorry, I can't do it on that date, because it was Yom Kippur. But then I realized that that's the holiest day of the year. I'm going to be praying like crazy, and the whole synagogue and all Jews all over the world are going to be praying like crazy. And there's this Hasidic legend that on the high holy days that the earth rises to the level of heaven. And so, hey, what, this sounds like a good day, so I'm going to get my surgery on that day. And so I go there in the morning. In the morning, I get to go to services, and I'm standing there between my husband and my son, and they both got these beautiful baritone voices, and we're praying the old melodies. And then we had to leave early because I had to go to the hospital, and I have this surgery. And then a couple of days later, I show up at this doctor's office for results, and she says, well, I couldn't really get my instrument in there too well. This part of my body was probably made by the Department of Defense. But from what I can tell, you look fine. But let's just do this biopsy right here in the office, and then I'll know. So she does this rather painful thing right there in the office. She says, hey, now I feel much better. I know you don't have cancer, because if you had cancer, well, she said something totally disgusting would become visible. So you're fine. And I said, well, then why all this bleeding? And she said, frankly, Cora, it's a mystery. I don't know why you're bleeding. And so that's 4 doctors, and I'm just about to give up. I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to buy stock in Kotex. And but then I heard about this therapist who was offering sort of a seminar in the evening for people with life-threatening and chronic illnesses. And I figured, 4 months of this is so probably qualifies me as chronic. And he basically said, just keep getting opinions. So I went to another doctor, and she said, well, when this person did the ultrasound, why didn't they use a contrast dye? And how can this person say you don't have cancer when she hardly got any tissue? So she sends me to yet another doctor for another surgery. And that was another 6 weeks of wait. So Merry Christmas, January, middle of January, finally I go for this other surgery. I wake up and my husband says, once again, the doctor couldn't do anything, Department of Defense. And the doctor's going to talk to some other doctors and see what he can find out. And he'll call you on Monday. He doesn't call me on Monday. I call him. He's out of town. I call on Tuesday. He's out of town. Wednesday, I'm trying to think of what I'd say to him when the phone rang. Cora, I had a grade 3 cancerous tumor in my uterus, and that doctor happened to find that out, and he saved my life finding that out. And I'm not sure where courage ends and chutzpah begins, but when it comes to matters of your health, you probably have to overstep that line. Thank you.